The marble floors of the Castellano estate gleamed under the afternoon sun, each tile reflecting Maria's bent figure as she scrubbed on her hands and knees. Her dark hair, streaked with gray at 42, was pulled back in a tight bun that made her temples ache. The bucket of soapy water beside her had gone cold an hour ago, but Maria didn't dare take a break to refresh it, not with him in the house. Maria Russo had been cleaning houses in Manhattan for 15 years, ever since she'd arrived from a small village outside Naples, with nothing but a suitcase and her daughter's hand in hers. 15 years of scrubbing other people's dirt, of bowing her head and making herself invisible, of swallowing her pride so her daughter Rosa could have the opportunities Maria never had. She'd cleaned penthouses for Wall Street bankers, townhouses for old money families, apartments for celebrities who didn't bother learning her name, but nothing had prepared her for working in the home of Dante Castellano. The sound of expensive leather shoes on marble made Maria's spine straighten automatically, a reflex born from years of knowing when to make herself smaller. She didn't look up as the footsteps approached, keeping her eyes fixed on the grout lines she was cleaning with a toothbrush. You. The voice was cold, sharp, carrying the slight accent of Sicily mixed with years of American influence. The music. Turn it off, Maria had been humming, barely audible. Just a few notes of an old Neapolitan song her mother used to sing, something to make the hours pass, to remind herself she was still human beneath the uniform and the subservience. Mi dispiace, signore, Maria said softly, the apology automatic. I'm sorry, sir. English. Dante Castellano stood above her, his shadow falling across the wet floor. He was tall, maybe 6'3", with the kind of presence that filled a room even when he stood still. His dark suit was perfectly tailored, probably cost more than Maria made in 6 months. Black hair swept back from a face that would have been handsome if not for the cold calculation in his dark eyes. In my house you speak English, and you work in silence. Maria felt heat rising in her chest, the familiar burn of swallowed anger. She was Italian too, spoke the language before she learned English, but to men like Dante Castellano, she wasn't Italian. She was just the help, invisible until she made noise, then suddenly too visible, needing to be put back in her place. Yes, sir. The words tasted like ash. And this floor. Dante gestured with one hand, his Rolex catching the light. You missed a spot. There, do it again. Maria looked at the section he indicated. It was perfect. She'd gone over it 3 times already. But she nodded, dipping her brush back in the cold water, and started scrubbing the same tiles again. Dante watched for a moment longer, making sure she understood her place, then walked away. Maria heard his footsteps recede down the hallway, heard the door to his study close with a soft click that somehow sounded louder than a slam. She sat back on her heels, her knees aching, her hands raw from chemicals, and allowed herself one moment of pure fury. Then she pushed it down, locked it away with all the other indignities she'd swallowed over the years, and kept scrubbing. This was the job. This was survival. Rosa was in her 2nd year at Columbia, studying engineering, brilliant and beautiful and everything Maria had worked for. She would graduate without debt because Maria cleaned houses. She would have opportunities because Maria made herself small. The humiliation was worth it. It had to be. Maria had been working at the Castellano estate for 3 weeks, and in that time, she'd learned a few things. Dante Castellano was a businessman, officially. He owned import companies, real estate, restaurants, but Maria had cleaned enough rich men's houses to recognize the signs of something darker underneath. The men who came for meetings spoke in low voices and carried guns poorly hidden under expensive jackets. The phone calls Dante took were always in Italian, always urgent, always ending with him looking more dangerous than before. Mafia, probably, or something close to it. Maria didn't ask questions, didn't want to know. She just cleaned and stayed silent and collected her paycheck. But there was one thing in the Castellano house that made the job bearable. Sophia. Dante's daughter was 7 years old, with her father's dark hair and eyes that held more sadness than any child should carry. Her mother was dead. Maria had gathered that much from the portrait in the main hallway, a beautiful woman frozen forever at maybe 30 years old. Sophia was raised by nannies who cycled through every few months, none of them lasting, all of them seeming relieved to leave. The little girl was often alone, wandering the vast house like a ghost, looking for attention her father never gave. Maria had been specifically instructed not to speak to Sophia, not to engage, to treat her like another piece of furniture to clean around. But Maria was a mother, and some instincts couldn't be suppressed. "Hello," Sophia had said on Maria's 4th day, appearing suddenly in the library where Maria was dusting. "What's your name?" Maria had glanced toward the hallway, making sure Dante wasn't nearby. "Maria, I'm Sophia." The little girl sat down on the floor, watching Maria work. "Do you have children?" "A daughter, Rosa. She's in college." "What's college like?" "It's a place where you learn things, where you become what you want to be." Sophia considered this, swinging her legs. "What does Rosa want to be?" "An engineer. She builds things, fixes things. I want to fix things too." Sophia's voice dropped to a whisper. "I want to fix Papa. He's broken since Mama died." Maria's heart clenched. She set down her duster and crouched to Sophia's level, breaking every rule. "Your Papa loves you very much. Sometimes grown-ups just don't know how to show it. He doesn't even look at me." Sophia's eyes were too knowing, too hurt. "He looks through me, like I'm invisible." Before Maria could respond, footsteps approached. She stood quickly, grabbing her duster, making herself busy. Dante appeared in the doorway, his expression darkening when he saw Sophia. "Go to your room," he told his daughter, not harshly but with absolute authority. "Now." Sophia obeyed silently, slipping past her father without a word. When she was gone, Dante turned his cold gaze on Maria. "I told you not to speak to her. She spoke to me first, signore. I don't care." He moved closer, using his height to intimidate. "You're here to clean, not to mother my daughter, not to have conversations, not to hum your peasant songs. You do your job and you stay invisible. Do you understand?" The word peasant hit like a slap. Maria felt something crack inside her, the careful control she'd maintained for 3 weeks suddenly fracturing. "I understand perfectly, signore." Her voice was still respectful, but something in her tone made Dante's eyes narrow. "I understand that you're a man who treats people like objects, who thinks because you have money, you have the right to speak to others like they're nothing. I understand that you're so busy being powerful and dangerous that you can't see your own daughter as desperate for any scrap of attention you might give her." The silence that followed was crushing. Maria knew she'd gone too far, knew she was about to be fired, possibly worse, but she couldn't take the words back, and some part of her didn't want to. Dante's expression was unreadable. "You're fired. Get out of my house." "Fine." Maria stripped off her cleaning gloves and dropped them on the floor. "I hope one day you realize what you're losing. And I don't mean me." She grabbed her purse from the kitchen and walked toward the front door, her head high despite the fear coursing through her veins. She'd just lost a job that paid better than any of her other clients. She'd have to pick up extra shifts, work longer hours, maybe even ask Rosa to get a part-time job. The scream stopped her cold. It came from upstairs, high and terrified. Sophia's voice. Maria didn't think. She dropped her purse and ran back through the house, taking the stairs 2 at a time despite her aching knees. Dante was ahead of her, moving with frightening speed toward his daughter's room. But Maria saw what he didn't. The window at the end of the hallway was open, curtains billowing in the wind, and Sophia wasn't in her room. She was outside, on the 3rd-floor window ledge, her small body pressed against the brick, her hands gripping the frame. "Papa!" Sophia's voice was pure terror. "I can't get back in." Maria's heart stopped. The little girl must have climbed out somehow, maybe to sit on the ledge like Maria had seen her do before from the ground. A dangerous habit no one had stopped because no one paid attention. But now she was stuck, too scared to move, one slip away from falling 3 stories to the stone courtyard below. Dante was frozen in the hallway, his face drained of color. For the first time since Maria had met him, he looked completely human, completely terrified. "Sophia, don't move," he said, his voice shaking. "Stay exactly where you are." But Sophia was panicking, her feet slipping on the narrow ledge. She was going to fall. Maria could see it happening in slow motion, the little girl's grip weakening, her body swaying, gravity waiting to claim her. Maria moved. She ran past Dante into Sophia's room and out the open window. The ledge was maybe 8 inches wide, barely enough space for an adult foot. Maria didn't let herself think about the drop, about the fear, about anything except getting to that little girl. "Sophia, look at me." Maria's voice was calm despite her racing heart. "Look at my eyes, tesoro. Not down, just at me." Sophia's terrified gaze locked on Maria's face. "I'm going to come get you, okay? You're going to be fine, but you need to stay very still." Maria inched along the ledge, her back pressed against the brick, her hands finding holds in the mortar. Every movement was careful, calculated. Below she could hear shouts, probably staff members who'd heard the commotion, but she blocked it out. There was only Sophia, only the ledge, only the desperate need to reach that child. "Talk to me, Sophia," Maria said, still moving slowly. "Tell me about your favorite thing." I like drawing." Sophia's voice was small, shaking. "What do you draw?" "Birds. I draw birds because they can fly away." Maria's heart broke, but she kept her voice steady. "That's beautiful. When we get inside, you can show me your drawings, okay?" "Okay." Maria was close now, close enough to reach out. "I'm going to take your hand. Don't let go of the frame yet. Just give me one hand." Sophia's small hand found Maria's, gripping with desperate strength. Maria braced herself against the building, wrapped her arm around the little girl's waist, and pulled her close. "Now we're going to move together. Small steps. You're doing so good, Tesoro. So brave." They inched back along the ledge, Maria's body shielding Sophia from the drop. Every second felt like an hour. Maria's legs were shaking, her hands cramping, but she didn't let go. Wouldn't let go. This child needed her. Dante appeared in the window, reaching out. "Give her to me." Maria passed Sophia through the window and into her father's arms. Then, with the last of her strength, she climbed back inside, collapsing on the bedroom floor. The silence was deafening. Maria sat with her back against the wall, her whole body trembling with adrenaline and delayed fear. She'd almost died. Sophia had almost died. They'd been seconds away from tragedy. Dante was on the floor holding Sophia, his arms wrapped around her so tightly it looked like he'd never let go. His face was buried in her hair, and his shoulders were shaking. It took Maria a moment to realize he was crying. This cold, dangerous man was sobbing into his daughter's shoulder, like the terrified father he'd been hiding. "I'm sorry," he kept saying over and over. "I'm so sorry, Piccola. I'm so sorry." Sophia clung to him, crying too, and Maria felt tears streaming down her own face. She tried to stand, her legs weak, thinking she should leave them to this moment. But Dante's voice stopped her. "Don't." He looked up, his face wet with tears, all the coldness stripped away. "Please don't go." Maria sank back down, too exhausted to argue. "You saved her." Dante's voice was raw. "You risked your life for my daughter. She's a child." Maria's voice came out stronger than she felt. "What else would I do? Most people would have called for help, waited for professionals. You didn't hesitate. Because there wasn't time." Maria looked at Sophia, who was watching her with wide eyes. "And because someone needed to see her, really see her, the way you should have been seeing her all along." The words were harsh, but Maria was beyond caring about consequences. She'd just faced death on a window ledge. She didn't have energy left for deference. Dante flinched like she'd struck him. "You're right." He held Sophia closer. "You're absolutely right." Paramedics arrived. Someone had called 911. They checked Sophia and Maria, both shaken but uninjured. The police came too, asking questions about how a 7-year-old had ended up on a third-floor ledge. Maria watched Dante answer, saw him take responsibility, saw him look at his daughter like he was truly seeing her for the first time. When everyone finally left, Maria gathered her purse from where she'd dropped it. Her hands were still shaking, her knees weak. She needed to go home, needed to process what had just happened, needed to call Rosa and hear her daughter's voice. "Wait." Dante stood in the foyer, still holding Sophia's hand like he was afraid to let go. "Please." Maria turned, too tired for whatever came next. "I was wrong." The words seemed to cost him. "About everything. The way I spoke to you. The way I treated you. The way I—" He looked down at Sophia. "The way I've been treating my daughter. Yes, you were wrong." Maria had no patience left for gentleness. "You treated me like I was nothing, like I was beneath you because I clean houses for a living. You called me a peasant. You ordered me to be silent like I wasn't even human." Dante's jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. "I know. Do you?" Maria felt 15 years of swallowed anger rising up. "Do you know what it's like to make yourself invisible every day? To scrub floors on your knees while people like you walk past without seeing you? To bite your tongue when you're insulted because you need the money? Because you have a daughter counting on you? Because you have no choice?" "No." His voice was quiet. "I don't know what that's like." "Then don't pretend you understand by saying you were wrong. Being wrong is forgetting to buy milk. What you did was treat another human being like garbage because you could, because you have money and power, and you think that gives you the right." Sophia was crying again, quietly, and Maria felt a pang of guilt. But these words needed to be said, not just for her, but for every cleaning lady, every server, every person who'd been made to feel less than human by people who thought wealth equaled worth. "You're right," Dante said again, "and I have no excuse. My life, my work." He glanced at Sophia, choosing his words carefully. "It requires certain walls, certain distances. I've spent so long building those walls that I forgot how to be human. I forgot how to be a father." He paused, struggling with words that clearly didn't come naturally. "My wife died 3 years ago. Cancer. I watched her deteriorate for 2 years before that, watched her fight and lose. And when she was gone, I shut down, threw myself into work, into being untouchable. Because if I didn't feel anything, I couldn't be hurt again. So you hurt your daughter instead," Maria said quietly. "Yes." Dante's voice broke. "I looked at Sophia and saw her mother, saw the pain of losing someone I loved. So I stopped looking, stopped feeling, became the kind of man who orders a woman to be silent for humming while she works." Maria wanted to stay angry. Anger was safer than sympathy, but she understood loss, understood grief, understood making terrible choices to survive pain. "Your daughter almost died today," Maria said, "because she was so desperate for attention that she climbed out on a ledge where you might actually notice her. Is that the man you want to be?" "No." Dante knelt down to Sophia's level, cupping her face in his hands. "Piccola, I'm so sorry. For everything. For not seeing you. For not being the father you deserve. For being so lost in my own pain that I forgot you were hurting too." Sophia threw her arms around his neck. "I just want you to love me, Papa. I just want you to see me. I do see you." Dante held her tight. "And I love you more than anything in this world. I'm going to do better. I promise." Maria watched them, feeling tears sliding down her cheeks again. This was what she'd fought for on that ledge. Not just a life saved, but a family that might heal. "I should go," Maria said, heading for the door. "Maria!" Dante stood, keeping Sophia's hand in his. "I know I have no right to ask anything of you, but please, don't leave. You fired me. I was an idiot." He moved closer, and Maria was struck by how different he looked. Vulnerable, human, stripped of the cold arrogance that had defined him. "I need someone who will tell me the truth, who won't be intimidated, who will make sure I never become that man again. I'm a cleaning lady, not a therapist. You're a mother who loves her daughter enough to work 15-hour days so she can have a future. You're a woman brave enough to risk her life for a child that isn't hers. You're someone who sees people, really sees them, even when they don't deserve it." Dante paused. "And you're right. I treated you like you were nothing. But you're not nothing. You're extraordinary. And I'm asking, begging, for the chance to prove I can be better." Maria studied his face, looking for manipulation, for the cold calculation she'd seen before. But there was only sincerity, raw and uncomfortable. "I can't just forget what you said, what you did. I'm not asking you to forget. I'm asking you to let me earn your forgiveness." He glanced at Sophia. "Let me earn both of your forgiveness." Maria thought about Rosa, about the bills waiting at home, about the practical reality of needing this job. But more than that, she thought about Sophia's drawings of birds flying away, about a little girl desperate to be seen, about second chances and whether people could really change. "If I stay," Maria said slowly, "things are different. I'm not just the help. I'm a person. You treat me with respect. You speak to me like I'm human. And you let me tell you when you're being an ass to your daughter." Dante's lips twitched, almost a smile. "Agreed. And I don't work in silence. I hum when I want. I sing when I want. You don't like it, you can clean your own floors." "Agreed. And, Sophia," Maria looked at the little girl, "we have conversations. About anything she wants. Because children need to be heard." "Yes." Dante's voice was firm. "Absolutely yes." Maria took a deep breath. This was probably a mistake. Probably she should walk away from this complicated, dangerous man and his broken family. But she'd never been good at taking the safe path. "Okay, I'll stay. But you mess up again. I'm gone. And next time, I won't be quiet about why." "Fair enough." Dante extended his hand. "Thank you." Maria shook it, feeling calluses on his palm she hadn't expected. Maybe he wasn't as soft as she'd assumed. Maybe there was more to him than cold arrogance and expensive suits. "Can I show you my bird drawings now?" Sophia asked, tugging on Maria's hand. "Yes, Tesoro. Show me everything." The next 3 months transformed the Castellano house in ways Maria never expected. True to his word, Dante changed. He came home earlier, had dinner with Sophia every night, actually listened when his daughter talked. He asked Maria's opinion on household matters, on Sophia's education, on things that mattered. He treated her like a person, not a servant. But more than that, he seemed determined to understand what Maria's life was actually like. He asked about Rosa, about her studies, about Maria's journey from Naples to New York. He listened to her stories about her other clients, about the challenges of being an immigrant, about the constant struggle to make ends meet. And slowly, something unexpected happened. The cold, dangerous man began to disappear, replaced by someone warmer, more real. Maria found herself looking forward to their conversations over coffee after Sophia went to bed, found herself noticing the way his face softened when he laughed, the intelligence in his eyes when they discussed politics or literature, the gentleness in his hands when he braided Sophia's hair. "You're staring," Dante said one evening. Catching her watching him read to Sophia, Maria felt heat rise in her cheeks. "Just making sure you're doing it right." "Liar." But his smile was warm, teasing. "You're checking up on me, making sure I haven't reverted to being an ass." "Language," Maria said automatically, nodding toward Sophia. "Sorry," Dante winked at his daughter. "Making sure I haven't reverted to being a difficult person." Sophia giggled, and Maria felt her heart do something complicated. This was dangerous. She was getting attached, not just to Sophia, but to Dante, to this family that wasn't hers, to a life she couldn't have. "Maria?" Rosa's voice on the phone that night was concerned. "You sound different. What's going on?" "Nothing, just tired." "Mom, I know you. Something's changed." Maria lay in her small apartment, staring at the ceiling, trying to find words for what she was feeling. "I think I'm making a mistake." "What kind of mistake?" "The kind where you start caring about people you shouldn't care about, where you forget your place." Rosa was quiet for a moment. "Is this about the Castellano family?" "Yes. The man who treated you like garbage? He's different now. He changed." "People don't really change, Mom. Some do. When they have a reason." Maria closed her eyes. "But it doesn't matter. I'm still the cleaning lady. He's still him. Have you told him how you feel?" "There's nothing to tell. It's stupid. I'm being stupid." "You're not stupid. You're human." Rosa's voice was gentle. "But Mom, be careful. Don't let someone make you feel less than you are. You're worth more than that." After they hung up, Maria lay awake thinking about worth, about what she was worth, about whether crossing the invisible line between employer and, friend? Something more? Whether crossing that line was brave or foolish. The answer came 3 weeks later, on a Saturday afternoon. Maria wasn't supposed to work weekends, but Sophia had asked if she could come over to help with a school project. Maria had agreed, unable to say no to the little girl who'd become like a second daughter. They were in the kitchen making a volcano for Sophia's science class when raised voices erupted from Dante's study. Male voices, angry, speaking rapid Italian. Sophia's face went pale. "Papa's business friends. They come sometimes. I'm supposed to stay in my room when they're here." Maria felt unease crawl up her spine. She'd tried not to think too hard about what Dante actually did, about the dangerous men who visited, about the phone calls in Italian that ended with tense silences. But now she couldn't ignore it. "Go to your room, Tesoro," Maria said quietly. "I'll finish the volcano." After Sophia left, Maria tried to focus on papier-mâché, but the voices kept escalating. She caught fragments through the heavy door, words like territory, disrespect, consequences, then a crash, like furniture overturning. Maria moved to the study door without thinking. She raised her hand to knock, to make sure Dante was okay, when the door flew open. A man stormed out, thick-built and furious, nearly knocking Maria over. 2 others followed, all of them radiating violence. They didn't even glance at her, just the invisible cleaning lady, not worth noticing. Inside the study, Dante stood behind his desk, his face carefully neutral, but Maria could see blood on his knuckles. "Are you okay?" she asked. "Fine." He didn't look at her. "Go check on Sophia." "Dante." "Now, Maria." His voice was sharp, the old coldness creeping back. Maria felt like she'd been slapped. After 3 months of warmth, of connection, of becoming something like friends, he was pushing her away again, putting her back in her place. She found Sophia in her room, anxious and scared. "Is Papa okay?" "He's fine," Maria lied, holding the little girl close. That night, after Sophia was asleep, Maria found Dante in his study nursing a drink. His knuckles were bandaged, his tie loosened, his expression distant. "You want to tell me what that was about?" Maria asked from the doorway. "No." "Fine." Maria turned to leave. Wait, Dante's voice was tired. I'm sorry for snapping at you, for everything. Maria leaned against the doorframe. Are you in danger? Always. Is Sophia in danger? No, I've made sure of that. Dante looked up, meeting her eyes. My business. It's not legal. You probably guessed that. I've tried to keep that part of my life separate from Sophia, from home. But sometimes it bleeds through. What kind of business? The kind where people get hurt if they don't follow rules, where territory matters, where showing weakness is death. He took a drink. I'm trying to get out, to build legitimate businesses so Sophia doesn't grow up with this hanging over her. But it's not easy. People don't just let you walk away. Maria moved into the room, sitting in the chair across from his desk. Those men today, what did they want? Territory I control. They think I'm weak because I've been spending more time at home, because I've been trying to be a better father. Dante's laugh was bitter. They're probably right. A few months ago, I would have handled that differently, more violently. But I promised Sophia I'd try to be better. Being a good father doesn't make you weak. In my world, it does. He set down his drink. Maria, I need to tell you something. And after I tell you, you're going to want to leave. You should leave. Try me. I'm not just mafia adjacent. I run the Castellano family operations in New York. Have for 5 years, since my father died. Everything you've suspected about me, about the dangerous business, about the violence, it's all true. I've hurt people. I've ordered things done that would horrify you. I'm not a good man. Maria sat with this information, processing it. She'd known, in some abstract way, but hearing it said aloud was different. This man she'd been developing feelings for was a criminal. Dangerous. Exactly the kind of person she should run from. Why are you telling me this now? Because you deserve to know the truth. Because I can't keep lying to you about who I am. Dante met her eyes. And because I need you to understand that caring about me, about this family, puts you at risk. Those men today, they could decide to hurt Sophia to hurt me. They could decide to hurt you. To hurt me? Maria's voice was sharp. I'm the cleaning lady. Why would they care about me? Because you're not just the cleaning lady anymore. Dante's voice was quiet. You're someone I care about. Someone who matters to me. And in my world, that makes you a target. The words hung in the air between them. Someone who matters. Someone he cares about. You can't say things like that, Maria said, her voice shaking. Why not? It's true. Because we're not. Maria stood, needing distance. I work for you, Dante. I clean your house. That's all this is it? He stood too, moving around the desk toward her. Because I don't think about my other employees when I'm trying to sleep. I don't wait all day for them to arrive. I don't care about their opinions or their stories or the way they laugh. Stop. Why? Because it's inconvenient? Because it crosses some invisible line? Because you're too proud to admit you feel the same way? Maria felt tears burning. Because I spent 15 years making myself invisible. 15 years of being treated like nothing. And just when I started to believe I could be seen, could be valued, you tell me that being seen makes me a target, that caring about you could get me hurt, maybe killed. I know. Dante stopped a foot away, not touching her, but close enough that she could feel his warmth. I know it's unfair. I know I have no right to ask anything of you, but I'm asking anyway. Stay, fight with me, help me build something better, not just for Sophia, but for us. There is no us. There can't be. Why not? Because you're you! Maria's voice broke. You're wealthy and powerful and dangerous. I clean houses, Dante. I scrub floors. My hands are rough from chemicals. My knees ache from kneeling. I smell like cleaning products more often than perfume. We don't belong in the same world. You're right. Dante's voice was soft. We don't belong in the same world. But maybe that's why this works. You see me as human, not as a weapon or an asset. You challenge me. You make me want to be better. And I see you, Maria, not as the cleaning lady, but as a woman who's stronger than anyone I've ever met, who risked her life for my daughter, who tells me the truth even when it's hard, who makes me laugh and think and feel things I thought I'd buried with my wife. This is insane. Completely insane. Dante finally closed the distance, his hand coming up to cup her face. Say yes anyway. Maria should pull back. Should remember Rosa's warning about people who make you feel less than you are. Should protect herself from more hurt. But she'd spent 15 years being careful, being invisible, playing it safe. She kissed him. It felt like rebellion, like claiming something she'd been told she couldn't have, like being seen not as the help, not as invisible, but as a woman, as someone worthy of desire and respect and love. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Dante rested his forehead against hers. "I don't deserve you." "Probably not," Maria agreed. "But you're going to work very hard to earn me anyway. Every day." His smile was brilliant. "I promise." The next 6 months were complicated and messy and wonderful. Dante kept his promise about getting out of the criminal side of his business, slowly transitioning to legitimate operations. It was dangerous, costly, and earned him enemies, but he did it anyway. Maria stopped being the cleaning lady and became something else. Not quite family, not quite employee, something new. She still worked, refusing to be dependent, but now she managed Dante's household staff rather than scrubbing floors. Sofia called her Zia Maria, Aunt Maria, and drew pictures of their family that always included 4 people: Sofia, Papa, Maria, and Rosa. Rosa visited one weekend, skeptical and protective, but she saw how Dante treated her mother, with respect, with love, with the kind of partnership that made Maria glow. She saw Sofia's transformation from a lonely, neglected child to a happy, confident girl, and eventually, she gave her approval. "He's good for you," Rosa admitted, "but if he ever treats you like garbage again, I'm driving up here to kill him myself." "Deal," Maria agreed. The real test came 6 months to the day after the window ledge incident. Dante gathered Maria and Sofia in the study, the same room where angry men had once threatened him. "I have something to tell you both," he said, looking nervous. "The Castellano family operations are completely legitimate now. No more criminal activity. No more dangerous business. It cost everything. Contacts, power, respect in certain circles. But it's done." Sofia cheered. Maria felt tears sliding down her face. "And," Dante continued, pulling out a small box, "I have a question." He knelt in front of Maria, and she felt her heart stop. 3 months ago, you told me I treated you like garbage because I could, because I had money and power, and I thought that gave me the right. You were absolutely correct. I was an ass. Language, Maria and Sofia said simultaneously. Dante grinned. "I was a terrible person, but you didn't walk away. You stayed and challenged me and forced me to be better. You saved my daughter's life. You saved mine too, in a different way. You taught me how to be human again." He opened the box, revealing a simple diamond ring. "I know this is crazy. I know we're from different worlds. I know I have no right to ask. But Maria Russo, will you marry me? Will you let me spend the